Hey everybody, this is Unit 4, Formative 1, Scientific Notation. Alright, so scientific notation is something that I believe you guys have seen before, whether it be in science class or your math class before. But just to review, so scientific notation is always going to be some number times 10 to some power. So it will look similar to this problem or to this problem. The number that is being multiplied by 10 to some power, so the 1.24 or the 2.5, for example, has to be between 1 and 10. Okay, so it has to be greater than 1, it can be equal to 1, or it has to be less than 10. Okay, and then the 10 can be multiplied by any, or can be to any power. Alright, so these two numbers that we have here are in what's called standard form, okay? And we want to write them in scientific notation. The reason why we might use scientific notation is to avoid all the zeros in a number, okay? So a lot of times when you're talking about something in science or whatever, you're talking about really big numbers, and it's going to be easier to use your scientific notation than it is to write out all the zeros. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is figure out a number between 1 and 10 that we can use. Well, that's going to be, in this case, 8.3. So we can use 8.3 because it comes from these two numbers right here. Okay, and then if we have 8.3, it needs to be multiplied by 10 to some power. So we need to figure out the power. Well, in this case, we're starting here and we're going backwards. So we know that's going to be a negative exponent because we go backwards. So negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'd be 10 to the negative fifth power. And there is your scientific notation for that. So if you start off with a long decimal like this, your final answer will have a negative exponent, or your scientific notation will have a negative exponent. If you start off with a number like number 2, where there is no decimal, okay, I can tell you right now that we're going to have a positive exponent on your 10. Okay, so let's do the second one here. We'd start with 6.2, okay, because it needs to be a number between 1 and 10, and 62 is not between 1 and 10. Times 10, we need to figure out the power. We'll start between the 6 and 2, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places to the right. So it'd be 10 to the 7th power. And it's positive because we moved to the right. We moved the decimal to the right. Number 1, we had to move the decimal to the left, so that's why we had a negative 5 as our exponent. And there's your answer. All right, decide if the number is in scientific notation. If it is not, we need to fix it. Okay, so from first glance, number 1 looks like it's in scientific notation because it's times 10 to the negative 6th power. Well, if you look at the first number here, though, 63.4 is not between 1 and 10, so we need to change that to be 6.34 times 10, and now the exponent will have to change as well. Okay, well, the rule of thumb here is if this number gets smaller, okay, so by changing it to scientific notation or correcting it, if this number gets smaller, then the exponent will have to get get bigger. So we got 1 decimal place smaller, so that means that this will have to get 1 place value bigger. So 1 bigger than negative 6 is negative 5. And there, now it's in proper scientific notation. Okay, number 2, 0.052 is not between 1 and 10, so we want to use the number 5.2 instead. That number is between 1 and 10. And now since the first number changed, the exponent will have to change as well. And if we look here, from 5.2 to 0.052, we got 2 decimal places to the left, or 2 decimal places bigger in this case. Okay, so it went from here over to the right, 2 decimal places, so it got bigger, which means this will have to get smaller, so it's going to become a 5. Okay, so I got 2 decimal places bigger, so this one has to get smaller. This one got smaller 1 decimal place, so it had to get bigger here, 1 decimal place. So you're just doing the opposite. So this would be the proper scientific notation for that one. All right, did you know that a duck's quack does not echo and nobody knows why? All right, and our last two problems here, write the number in standard notation. So we're given it in scientific, we want to write it in standard. So all we have to do here is take our decimal, and it's our decimal, or our exponent is positive 5, so that means my decimal is going to move to the right. So we're going to take 2.53 and move to the decimal place 5 places to the right. So 253, I'm just going to put some zeros here. It starts here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my decimal place goes there. So we have 253,000 would be your answer. Okay, number 2 has a negative exponent, which means my decimal will move to the left. So we're going to move to the left 1, 2, 3 places. So we have 0.0046. Double check your answer. So 1, 2, it moved 3 places to the left. And sure enough, 0.0046 is your answer in standard notation. All right, and that is scientific and standard notation. We will see you later.